A very good evening to you. It's about 6 o'clock here in the west of Ireland. It's been a beautiful day, very hot. Temperature's about 22, 23 degrees centigrade. Sort of pleasantly hot in the shade. Jack! Now, so this is day 80 of my juice fast. I'll just bring this camera in to the porch where I have the big mirror, and I'll happily show you myself because I'm actually getting Jack, move out of the way. Decidedly slimmer and feeling very, very good. So, now there we go. So I have this letter. I got this beautiful letter this morning, all the way from America. And I'm going to share it with you. Obviously I'm going to change the names, and I may omit a few little details because I don't want, I just want to keep the anonymity of this person. But a beautiful letter, a beautiful card, and this means a lot to me. It means a lot to me because I always imagine that through these videos, the beauty of life reaches people. And the beauty of life is something that is just magical, isn't it, Jack? It's completely magical. Life is a wonderful gift, and especially when you can see the beauty in it. And those of you who took the time to click on that link yesterday that I was talking to you about in the video will be able to understand and resonate with some of the sentiments expressed here in this letter. Right, I'm going to have to pop the camera down here on the bench, and I want to make sure there's a nice view. So if I put it, there, there we go. That's quite a nice little view, isn't it? It might be too far away though to pick up my voice. Let me see. Excuse me while I bumble about. Oh, I'll just hold it then. Now, Jack, please can you just go and sit down because I'm going to need to have a wee bit of space. Okay, so here we go. My dear Colette, I've been holding this letter close to the chest for a long time now, and have been a bit shy about sending it. I see how inundated you must be with communication of all kinds. And as a gardener myself, I can only imagine how busy you are. Now that I have been following your YouTube channel for a while, I've realised that you may enjoy this story. I simply must tell you. It's a bit long. Go away, Jack. And likely best enjoyed with coffee in hand. That's okay. I'm going to make a coffee afterwards. But by the end of it, I think you'll understand why I had to tell you. For it speaks to the magic of Bealtaine Cottage and is a fine example of the powerful healing energy emanating from the place you have fostered for 14 years. It has been my dream for as long as I can remember to nurture a place like Bealtaine Cottage into being, with the addition of a school and spiritual community centre. Finances have always been the major hurdle I needed to jump over to get there. My YouTube subscriptions reflect this, and it was in September of 2017 when I stumbled across your video, 13 Years of Permaculture in Ireland. I was highly anxious and suicidal. Now excuse me while I leave little bits of this letter out, because again it's very important to protect this beautiful person who's written it. Okay. I was highly anxious and suicidal, and was spending my time watching gardening videos. And this lady goes on to say that this video came up, which is that iconic video on the site, 13 Years of Permaculture in Ireland. So then she says, as you walked up your driveway, I couldn't believe my eyes. As you told your story, I couldn't believe my ears. And my emotional response as you walked into your backyard was so powerful, I was moved to tears. I was in such a bad mental and emotional place. And for the first time in years, I felt hope well up inside of myself. I realised in that moment that my dream was still possible. At that time, I was not speaking to my mother. And this goes on to say that her mother had been ill and there had been some emotional, should we say emotional issues, okay. After a lifetime of trying to maintain healthy boundaries, this is a lady talking about her mother, I'd had enough, and this continual caring for her mother and tolerating what was in effect her mother's issues, and quite traumatic, may I say, from what I'm reading. It was quite a traumatic relationship. And decided anyway that she was going to cut herself off from her mother because she actually really needed the head space, that emotional space. And got to a point where decided for the first time ever not to contact her mother on her birthday. And she goes on to say, and so I prayed and meditated that entire week trying to find guidance. And then this is the interesting bit. On August the 6th, 2017, at 2 p.m. EST, I sat down to do a guided meditation for the lunar eclipse that day. As soon as I began to relax, my spirit was taken completely off script, off the guided meditation, and into the heart of Gaia, or Mother Earth. Now this is a very interesting experience, and this is me talking here, because many people who take ayahuasca talk of having a very intimate journey with Mother Earth, and they refer to this female spirit who reaches out to them. Okay, there, sitting in a rocking chair, was an old woman who looked like my mother if she had never gotten sick and obese. Suddenly I was a baby in her arms, and she was saying, "I'm sorry, so sorry it had to be this way, but it made you strong, and we have so much work to do." Then I was a grown woman again, asking her, "But how do I get there?" I then found myself in a field on a horse, bareback, riding down a hill into a forest. As I rode, a saddle appeared under me, and reins in my hands, which looked very old. A braid of my hair fell into my vision, and it was silver grey. I realised I was somehow experiencing a possible future self. When I dismounted the horse in the forest, there she was in front of me, and I asked her, "How do I get here?" She pressed her forehead to mine and clasped my hands in hers. I felt an overwhelming feeling of love move through my body, and then I was back in my body, sitting on my bed, back in the life I didn't really want to be in anymore. What I didn't know was that at that exact time, which was 7 p.m. Ireland, on that exact day, you were making a video that would change my life forever. About a month later was when I found your channel. Whenever I felt anxious or depressed, I would listen to you talk and watch your happy boy Jack running through the gardens and feeling a bit better. And feel a bit better. It was on one of my really bad days, upset about my mother and feeling completely worthless, when I found your video, Women of America. In it you mentioned feeling overwhelmed, and you went to bathe in the greenery of the fairy wood. And then you said, "I want to say hello to Lynn." And from that moment I felt as if you were talking to me, although of course that's not my name. And you went on to say, "Lynn, my dear, dear American lady, wonderful, wonderful woman." It was at that point the tears started. And then you said, "Oh my word, how many of you incredible American women are in that country, holding family together, much understated, much underrated, and so damned powerful." You went on, and I went on crying, listening to you say to me all of the things I had always needed my mother to say to me my whole life, but she never had. I let it all go. That was the last time I ever felt anxious or depressed. You pulled me out of it. I looked in my meditation journal and saw my meditation match the date the video was posted, and in it you had mentioned the time, so I knew I had to tell you. I just needed to find the right time. On my birthday of last year, I finally called my mother and forgave her. I wanted you to know how much you mean to me, how much Bealtaine Cottage means to me, and how the arms of the goddess reached out from Bealtaine to help heal me. Thank you. All of my love and more. Well, that's a powerful letter, and that's a wonderful story, and I want to thank you so much for sharing that with me, and I hope that all of you are happy that I've shared it with you. But I want to say a few more words, because since I made that video last year, much has happened. Much has happened here in terms of the rights of women here in Ireland. And even yesterday, just yesterday, all those incredible, incredible, blessed women who suffered so horribly in the Magdalen laundries here in Ireland were invited to return. The survivors were invited to return, and some of them came from as far away as America and Australia. And they were invited to Áras an Uachtaráin, which is the presidential palace in Dublin, to meet with the president, who offered the women his sincere apologies on behalf of the people of Ireland for what they had suffered, for what those Magdalen laundry women had suffered at the hands of church and state. And may I say, never again, never again. Later the women were invited to a gala dinner which was hosted by the Council of Dublin, Dublin Council, and that was held in the Mansion House in Dublin. And I watched some of the little videos that people have put up. There were crowds around those, both those places, but especially the Mansion House in Dublin. And as some of these old and feeble but strong of heart women disembarked from the coaches that were laid on to bring them there, the awaiting crowds broke into spontaneous applause. And I felt very emotional, not just for them, but for all the women everywhere who have suffered so much under systems of government and religion that have been nothing less than oppressive and damning. Many of those Magdalen laundry women had their babies taken from them, and some of them served in those laundries for decades. The most severe form of abuse, the ongoing emotional degradation and abuse. So this little video I'm dedicating to women, to the mothers and the daughters and the sisters and the nieces and the aunts and the grandmothers and all the women of all the world, especially America, I think, because I have had so much support from women in America, and I feel very blessed. I feel very blessed, because many of the women who support me and the Bealtaine project here are women who have tough lives themselves. And I often find that the people who have the least give the most in emotional support and in all kinds of support. I think because those who have the least and who have suffered the most understand and empathise just that little bit more. Having said that, I would not wish on my worst enemy, not that I have any enemies as far as I know, I like to think anyway, but I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies the lives that some of those Magdalen women have endured. So I just want to thank you for sending me that beautiful letter and that beautiful card, and reminding me of the importance of life and love and forgiveness and endurance and strength and nurture. And just watching all the bees around the flowers. So beautiful. So very beautiful. And it's like Jack, you know. Sometimes I give him a wee bit of a pet and I say to him, Jack, you are a lovely, lovely boy. You must have had a lovely mum. And I think he understands that. Now, having said all those words, I'm also a pragmatist, of course, being a woman. I'm very much a pragmatist. I don't celebrate Mother's Day, I never have done. And I celebrate Women's Day, International Women's Day. Because one thing I have learned over the years, you don't have to have a child to be able to nurture and love and sacrifice and give. You just have to be a cognizant human being. In touch with Mother Earth. Touch base. So there we go. Now, I'm going to leave you with my little image here. Not my little image. This is... I can't see now. There's sunlight glaring. Hang on now. Let me just see. There we go. This is from, I think it's a copy of a Henry Moore sculpture. But for me it epitomises Mother Earth and how she nurtures us. Blessings to you all. And blessings to all the incredible women. And don't forget to say something nice. Say something nice and nurturing and wonderful. Pay a compliment to the woman in your life. I'm so glad that we here in Ireland are finally undoing the past, undoing the worst of the past. It's a wonderful lesson. Making peace. Asking forgiveness. Blessings to you all.